a este ejercicio. Estamos con Peter van der Werf, responsable de interacción de la gestora neerlandesa, holandesa, Robeco. Peter, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Your company, Robeco, are talking about forced labor and just transition and fiscal transparency are the main issues in 2023. What do you think about these three topics?
Thank you for that question. With Robeco, we always go through a process of consulting with our clients and our investment teams on what are the main topics that we should spend time on with my team, the active ownership team, to do research and then to start engaging with companies that we invest in. And we have selected indeed this year to work on the just transition. So that's really sort of the social side of climate change. So how can companies and also countries prepare themselves for the big transition that needs to happen? And how can they ensure that that no groups are left behind? A second one indeed is on the forced labor and modern slavery. So really thinking about what are some of the issues that that companies face, particularly in sort of their long and deep supply chains in Asia, where you see that that labor rights of workers are often not protected. People are still through human trafficking brought into situations where they have to work in slavery. So this is a very severe issue that we want to tackle. And then the last one is on tax transparency. So this is really from a perspective of how companies are reporting on their economic activity and the amount of tax that they have to pay in different countries where they're active. We have indeed a higher set of expectations when it comes to country-by-country reporting, and ultimately also providing more insights to society, given how important ultimately taxes are to finance public finance and public goods.
Modern slavery will focus on Asian consumer and technology companies?
Yeah, that's correct. So we see particularly in Asia with consumer discretionary, but also with healthcare companies. So thinking about, for instance, the medical gloves, rubber gloves that are produced primarily in Malaysia and other ASEAN countries. Those type of products are typically where you find a lot of workers that go to work in these factories that come from really low-income countries. You have to think about maybe Bangladesh, Laos, Vietnam, or other countries in Asia. They travel to those countries in ASEAN to then work in factories, and that is typically where we find very poor labor conditions, which in some cases really border indeed on forced labor. So this is something that we want to discuss with companies, see what type of improvements they can make and how they house the workers, how they treat the workers, also how they deal with passports, for instance. They often get taken away from a worker when they enter the factory, so they have no longer their own ability to decide when they want to leave the country. All of those elements are important for us to discuss with companies and how they can improve.
We think that a fair transition seeks to minimize the social cost of emission reduction.
Yeah, so that is a theme that we see emerging quite rapidly across the whole climate change debate, but particularly in Asian countries. So we have to really see that obviously Asia at this point in time already houses 60% of all global inhabitants. It uses 85% of fossil fuels, and it will double its energy demand by 2030. So there is really a very strong need for Asia to very quickly move into that transition in terms of moving away from fossil fuel. For instance, a thermal coal phase out for their energy production. It's also the manufacturing and steel making hub, so quite a few of these CO2 intensive sectors, and all of that really rapidly needs to transition if we want to achieve the goals of the Paris Accord. But in that transition, there is obviously a lot of impact also on local communities, on workers in the various factories, as those industries start to change. And we find it very important that both companies, but also countries, have the right policies in place to then deal with that just transition.
Thank you very much for having this time with us, Peter van der Werf, responsable de interacción de la gestora neerlandesa Robeco. Good day, good business, Peter.
Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye. 9:29 de la mañana, o sea, clave sostenible del día, de la mano de JP Morgan.